What's going on, everybody? I'm Saint29 and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to continue going over my preseason positional rankings for the 2020 NFL Draft, with this video specifically covering the running back position. I'm really excited to dive into the skill positions ahead of this college football season because there's some serious talent in these groups. This draft class is going to make some serious waves come time for the draft process beginning next year, and I'm hoping to give you all a good glimpse into it before the 2019 college football season actually kicks off. Before I do start off my number 10 running back, I just want to remind everyone, like I did in the last video, everything I am about to say when I talk about these players is completely my own thoughts and evaluations. Along with that fact, this early in the year, this list is just as much a watch list as it is a complete ranking. So please go into the comment section and share your thoughts after you watch the video. I really want to talk football with y'all. I just ask that you respect everyone else who shares their opinions as well. So I'll not waste any more time, and I'm going to jump right into it with my number 10 running back in the 2020 NFL Draft class ahead of the 2019 college football season. And at this spot, I have Keyshawn Vaughn from Vanderbilt. Vaughn will be a redshirt senior this season and measures in at 5'10", 215 pounds. Last season in 2018, Vaughn played in 12 games, gained 1,244 yards on 157 carries for an average of 7.9 yards per carry, and had 12 rushing touchdowns. Along with that, he had 13 receptions for 170 yards and 2 touchdowns. In his career, which he has spent time both at Illinois and Vanderbilt, Vaughn has been a part of 34 games, has 2,268 rushing yards, 374 total carries, a career yards per carry of 6.1 yards, and 21 total touchdowns. He also has 38 career receptions for 378 yards, and the 2 touchdowns he scored in 2018. Looking at Vaughn heading into the 2019 season, as the reigning SEC newcomer of the year, he is looking to improve upon the impression he made last season. He showed tremendous burst, ending up with over 30 runs of 10 yards or more, but that burst only comes after he shows control and patience approaching the line of scrimmage, and then decisiveness when he finds the hole. He also has experience catching the ball out of the backfield, so really, if he repeats it with a solid performance in 2019, there is no reason Keyshawn Vaughn can't be one of the top skill players, if not one of the top running backs taken in the 2020 NFL Draft. Next up on the list at number 9, I have Zach Moss from Utah. Moss is heading into his senior season at Utah at 5'10" and 215 pounds. In 2018, he played in 9 games, gained 1,096 yards from 179 carries, giving him an average of 6.1 yards per carry and 11 rushing touchdowns. He also had 8 receptions for 50 yards and another score. Since his freshman year in 2016, Moss has played in 32 total games, rushed for 2,651 yards on 477 carries, has a career average of 5.6 yards per carry and 23 touchdowns, along with 38 receptions for 297 receiving yards and a single receiving touchdown. Moss is probably one of my favorite running backs to watch because he runs with such a tenacity and eagerness for contact that isn't as common anymore at the position. Now, that style of running may have contributed to him missing some time last season due to injury, but he still ended up as Utah's leading rusher anyway. I find Moss to be a nice blend of power, speed, and patience. He has decent lateral quickness, making the first guy miss, but then will drop the shoulder and fight for those extra yards, rarely ever getting forced backwards. If he makes his return in 2019 and plays a full season, I believe he'll have the most productive year yet. On top of that, I know he is already on Jim Nagy's radar for the Senior Bowl, so Moss can make a lot of noise leading up to the draft next April. Moving on to number 8 on the list, I have Kylen Hill from Mississippi State. Hill is going to be a junior in 2019 and measures in at 5'11" and 215 pounds. In 2018, Hill played in 11 games, had 734 rushing yards on 117 carries, averaging 6.3 per carry, and scored 4 touchdowns on the ground. He added 22 receptions, gaining 176 more receiving yards with 4 more touchdowns. Over his career, he has played in 24 games, has 195 carries, 1,127 yards, a career average of 5.8 per carry, 6 rushing touchdowns, 26 total receptions, 214 receiving yards, and 4 receiving touchdowns. Now, having Hill here at number 8 over guys like Keyshawn Vaughn and Zach Moss is probably making y'all think I'm a little crazy, but just hear me out real quick. I view Hill as a breakout candidate heading into this season because of the fact quarterback Nick Fitzgerald is no longer at Mississippi State. That means that Kylen Hill is going to have his opportunity to help fill the void left by Fitzgerald's rushing ability. That's a free 220 carries that went for over 1,100 yards and 13 touchdowns last year. That's a lot of extra productivity that will most likely go to Hill. Now, Hill is primed to blow up with this chance. He is fast, he runs hard, has some good contact balance. Last year, he averaged 4 yards after contact, forced 31 missed tackles, and 34% of the time, his touches either ended up gaining a first down or went for a touchdown. In addition to that, as an NFL prospect, to me, he looks like he could be a 3-down running back that is becoming so coveted nowadays. Having him at number 8 may be premature, but don't be surprised if Hill is the spark to the Mississippi State offense this season. Going right along to number 7, I'm going to talk about A.J. Dillon from Boston College. Dillon is heading into his junior season listed at 6 foot, 245 pounds. In 2018, Dillon played in 10 games, had 1,108 yards, 227 carries, averaging 4.9 yards per carry, and scored 10 touchdowns. He did play a bit into the passing game for the first time in his career last season with 8 catches, 41 yards, and 1 touchdown as well. In his 2 years at Boston College, Dillon has played in 23 games, gained 2,697 yards from 527 carries, giving him a career average of 5.1 yards per carry, and scored 24 rushing touchdowns. As I just mentioned, he caught a few passes for the first time in his career last season. Looking at A.J. Dillon, the first thing you notice is his size. He is a very large man and he runs very angry. Everyone talks about that, but a lot of draft analysts are currently saying that he is not a threat as a receiver out of the backfield, which I agree with right now. I think he could show more as a threat of a receiver this season, but they're also saying that he needs to lose weight to increase his draft stock, and I don't agree with that at all. Sure, maybe losing 5 pounds might be beneficial for Dillon, but for 245 pounds, he is still fairly fast. Not the fastest guy in the running back class at all, but he is fast enough to get in open space, and multiple times last year he broke off some long runs. Watching his film, he has the athletic ability to make a jump cut behind the line and get out to the perimeter, so I don't find the need for him to lose weight. I think if he can have a similar season to his freshman year, going around 1,400 to 1,500 yards, score maybe 10-12 touchdowns, and show some receiving ability, A.J. Dillon could be a solid addition to any NFL backfield. Jumping up now to number 6 on the list, we come to Nagi Harris from Alabama. Harris will be a junior this year, coming into the season at 6'2", 230 pounds. Last season, Harris played in all 15 games for the Tide, gaining 783 yards on the ground off 117 carries, averaging 6.7 yards per carry, and scored 4 touchdowns. He didn't do a lot at all catching the ball though, as he just had 4 catches for 7 yards and no scores. Over the past 2 seasons, he has rushed for 1,153 yards, has 178 carries, averaging 6.5 yards per carry in his career, and scored 7 rushing touchdowns. Also has a total of 10 receptions for 52 yards. So, I am going to open up the outlook for Nagi Harris by saying that I believe out of anyone on this list, he has the biggest opportunity to climb up the ranks. Year in and year out, everyone expects the Alabama rushing game to be productive, and year in and year out, it always is. I mean, let's think about it. Najee Harris had the numbers he did last year, technically as the 3rd running back behind Josh Jacobs and Damian Harris. This season, he is going to be the number 1 running back as part of an offense that looks to be one of the top in the nation. He is also the biggest back on this list, but he is so stinking athletic it's scary. When I look at Najee Harris, all I see is a leaner, faster version of Derrick Henry. He has tremendous play strength, shows burst when hitting a hole and breaking into the open field. For his size, he's absurdly athletic. Thinking about it right now, it won't come as a shock to me if I have to bump Najee Harris up my rankings on a regular basis throughout the season, and even if he ends up being in the top 3, maybe even as the top running back headed into the NFL draft. Finally breaking into the top 5, the next running back up is Nino Benjamin from Arizona State. Benjamin will be a junior in 2019. He comes in at 5'10" and 201 pounds. In 2018, he played in 13 games, rushed for 1,642 yards on 300 carries, averaging 5.5 yards per carry, and scored 16 touchdowns. Benjamin also had 35 receptions for 263 yards and 2 touchdowns. Looking at his career stats, Benjamin has been part of 22 games, has 1,784 rushing yards, 323 carries, a career average of 5.5 yards per carry, 17 rushing touchdowns, 40 receptions, 363 receiving yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. Really blowing up last year, Nino Benjamin put himself on everyone's radar. When I watched him, the biggest aspect of his game that I noticed is his shiftiness. He is a slippery runner and it pairs well with his contact balance. He isn't the biggest back in the class, but he had 1,030 yards after contact in 2018, which really helped him rush for the 90 carries that either gained a first down or scored a touchdown. Just like I said how he is shifty, he also forced 49 missed tackles, so he has a nice skill set built up in his 2 years at Arizona State. He is already garnering a lot of early day 2 talk, and even a little bit of late first round consideration, but I think if Benjamin can produce at the same level, maybe improve his efficiencies even more, and definitely catch the ball more out of the backfield, Nino Benjamin is going to make a lot of NFL teams look his way. Next up, at number 4 on the list, I have J.K. Dobbins from Ohio State. Dobbins is heading into his junior season and is listed at 5'10", 214 pounds. In 2018, Dobbins played in 14 games, had 1,053 rushing yards, 230 carries, an average of 4.6 yards per carry, and 10 rushing touchdowns. He also added 26 receptions, 263 yards, and 2 more scores catching the ball. Looking at his career as a Buckeye, Dobbins has played in 28 games, has 2,456 rushing yards, 424 carries, giving him a career average of 5.8 yards per carry, and scored 17 rushing touchdowns. Catching the ball, Dobbins has 48 total receptions, 398 yards, and 3 receiving scores. Last season, Dobbins experienced some drop-off compared to his freshman year, where he had 1,403 rushing yards and averaged 7.2 yards per carry, but I think he will bounce back this year as the leader in the backfield at Ohio State. Watching him play, I feel like the best single word to use to describe his game is balance. He is a solid option at any point on the field, on any down. He is effective in between 20s and a very valuable asset to have in the red zone. He has burst and agility to break out into the open field and rip off chunk plays and be a home run hitter, just as much as he has the strength to fight against defenders on a 3rd and 3 or in a goal line situation. Plus, he is a really good pass catcher, most notably in the screen game, but nonetheless effective as a receiver out of the backfield. With his all-around skill set and no longer having to split carries with another back, J.K. Dobbins could return to his freshman level effectiveness and make an argument to be a first-round running back in my opinion. Getting up to number 3 now, in this spot I have DAndre Swift from Georgia. Like many of the players on this list, Swift is a junior this season. He is listed at 5'9" and 215 pounds. In 2018, Swift played in 14 games, had 1,049 rushing yards on 163 carries, leading to an average of 6.4 yards per carry and scored 10 rushing touchdowns. He also had 32 receptions that went for 297 yards and 3 more touchdowns on the season. Through his career at Georgia, Swift has played in a total of 29 games, has 1,667 rushing yards, 244 total carries, a career average of 6.8 yards per carry, 13 rushing touchdowns, 49 receptions, 450 receiving yards, and 4 receiving touchdowns. Ever since joining the backfield rotation at Georgia, Swift has always been viewed as a tremendous talent and a fairly obvious eventual NFL player, but last year with the exit of Sony Michel and Nick Chubb, he had a much better opportunity to show what he can do on a consistent basis. The 2 main things that I noticed when watching Swift is his speed and shiftiness. When he plants his foot in the ground, he gets up to speed in a matter of 2 to 3 steps, and if a defender doesn't have a good ankle, you can kiss him goodbye. On top of that, he has fantastic feet and lateral quickness to shake defenders in the open field without really slowing down at all. These 2 things combined make him one of the biggest threats to score every single time he touches the ball, whether that's a handoff or pass coming out of the backfield. So Georgia has a knack for producing highly talented running backs, and Swift will be no different. The only thing to watch is not if he is productive, but how productive his season can be, because that will be a huge factor contributing to where he goes in the 2019 draft. Before I get to the top 2 running backs on my list, I am going to go over a few honorable mentions, just a few extra players I think people should keep an eye on heading into this college football season, and ultimately the draft season beginning in 2019. The first player I want to mention is Trey Sermon from Oklahoma. This season, Sermon is a junior, listed at 6 feet tall and 224 pounds. This season is going to be an interesting one for Sermon, being Jalen Hurts' new quarterback with some rushing ability. Oklahoma lost 4 offensive linemen to the 2019 draft, and splitting carries with a very talented Kennedy Brooks, but nonetheless a defining one for him. I find that he's a very well-rounded back, good mix of intangibles and skill, plus he has shown he is an efficient runner and effective catcher out of the backfield, so keep an eye on him as the season progresses. The next honorable mention I have is Cam Akers from Florida State. Akers is a junior coming in at 5'11" and 210 pounds. He was one of the top running back recruits coming out of high school and had a productive freshman season, gaining over 1,000 yards and 7 scores on the ground, as well as flashing in the passing game, but last year was disappointing, matching Florida State for 2018 as a whole. Now, there is hope though in 2019, as some stability on the offensive side of the ball should help Akers show his speed and good natural instincts as a runner, making it a bounce back year for him. And the final running back that I want to mention is Kennedy McCoy from West Virginia. McCoy is one of the rare seniors on this list, listed at 6 feet tall, 198 pounds. And last season, most people were watching players like Will Greer, David Sills, and Greg Jennings when watching West Virginia, but as I watched those games, I couldn't help but notice McCoy on a regular basis. He won't blow anybody away like the other running backs I've talked about previously, but he is effective in the offense and a key contributor, as he had 1,026 all-purpose yards and 9 touchdowns last season. So with the exit of a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball for West Virginia, keep an eye out for McCoy to be the next featured player in that scheme. So this is a very important spot for me on this list because I did choose to rank the last running backs 1 and 2, but I do honestly view them as 1A and 1B. They are both extremely talented in similar ways, but both players bring different things to the position as well. So at the number 2 spot, or basically my 1B spot, I guess I could say, the back I have is Travis Etienne from Clemson. So Etienne is a junior heading into the 2019 season. He is 5 feet 10, 215 pounds, and I apologize for the graphic. At the time I made it, multiple sources had him only listed at 200 pounds, but I do know he is up at 215. But anyway, last season for the Tigers, he played in 15 games, had 1,658 yards on the ground, 204 carries, averaging 8.1 yards per carry, and scored 24 touchdowns. He also added 12 receptions with 78 receiving yards and 2 scores as well. Since arriving in Clemson in 2017, Etienne has played in 28 games, has 2,424 rushing yards, 311 total carries, career average of 7.8 yards per carry, 37 rushing touchdowns, 17 total receptions, 135 receiving yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. So to me, Etienne is the full embodiment of lightning in a bottle. Heading into the 2018 season, it was reported that Etienne had spent a lot of time in the weight room getting stronger, but also working to add weight to his frame. And this was always thought to improve his durability, of course, but it worried some that he wouldn't be as explosive. And boy, was there nothing to worry about. Etienne came out last year and shocked the nation. I mean, the guy averaged over 8 yards per carry, and on top of that, almost 60% of the time, had carries that went for 15 yards or more. Etienne is extremely fast. The extra weight he added helped him improve his power, and he exhibits some amazing contact balance, and I think his vision is just going to keep getting better this season. I feel that if Etienne has a season anywhere near what he did in 2018, the only thing people are going to be wondering is how high in the first round is he going to be drafted. Finally, in the number 1 spot, or the 1A spot I guess, I have Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin. Taylor will be heading into his junior year, listed at 5'11", 216 pounds. Last season, he played in 13 games, led the nation in rushing yards with 2,194, had 307 carries, an average of 7.1 yards per carry, scored 16 rushing touchdowns, and had 8 receptions for 60 yards. In his career, Taylor has played in 27 games, has 4,171 rushing yards, 606 total carries, a career average of 6.9 yards per carry, 29 rushing touchdowns, 16 total receptions, and 155 receiving yards. So, after breaking Adrian Peterson's record for the most rushing yards as a freshman, Taylor followed that up with a 2,000-yard rushing season, and is eager to do the same thing again this year. Taylor could leave college football as one of the most productive running backs of all time. Out of his 27 career games, he has only had less than 100 rushing yards in 5 of them. I had Taylor at the number 1/1A spot because he runs so stinking hard. His best traits to me are his contact balance and consistent play strength. There is never a carry, at least that I have seen, that I think Taylor doesn't give 100%. And his highlight reels are absurd. Multiple times when he carries right up the middle, breaks a couple tackles, disarms another defender, and then turns on this surprising second gear for such a bruiser of a back to score a long touchdown. The true only thing that I can knock against Taylor is the fact that he has minimal experience catching the ball out of the backfield. And in my eyes, in all honesty, if he has another 2,000-yard, 15 touchdown, 7 to 10 reception season in 2019, I still think he gets taken on day 1 of the draft. With really the only question being the same as Etienne, how high will he be drafted in the first round? So y'all, that is my preseason ranking of the running backs in the 2020 NFL Draft. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. If you didn't like it, I guess hit the dislike button. The feedback would be much appreciated either way. If you really enjoyed the video and would like to see more, please subscribe to the channel. I will do my very best to keep creating more content and giving y'all what you want to see. Also, please use the comment section. I would love to talk to y'all, whether you agreed with my thoughts or not. I just like talking football, or even if you have, certain videos, certain ideas that you want me to make. I'd love to hear anyone's thoughts. Again, thank you for watching, and I will talk to y'all in the next video.